This is the Supply Chain Dialogue Season 2, Episode 1, and I'm Daniel Harmig. In today's episode, we tackle a common concern shared by procurement professionals worldwide. So grab your favorite beverage, settle into your comfiest chair, or put on your running shoes and prepare for a delightful and hopefully informative journey through the twists and turns of procurement. I thought we would ease into Season 2 of Supply Chain Dialogues with a straightforward account of the procurement function. What it is, what it is not. We will provide some hacks for improving our triple bottom line, which is people, profit, and planet, and have some fun while clearing out some of the cobwebs that linger in this space. So with the help of Amy, my AI-enabled voice counterpart who just returned from a congress with her siblings on world domination, we will have a dialogue about 10 questions. So let's get started, and Amy, please shoot.
Daniel, you have done procurement for a long time in your life in different industries. In simple terms, what is the role of procurement or purchasing in a firm?
Before I do this, please consult your siblings, Amy, and give me the AI answer.
Procurement in a corporation, the veritable master of acquisitions, tirelessly weaving its strategic supply tapestry drawn from the loom of negotiations and vendor relations. It clasps the hand of efficiency, leading the dance of cost savings, ensuring the orchestra of resources harmonizes in unison with the symphony of business goals. With a discerning eye and an ironclad contract, procurement gallantly navigates the treacherous waters of commerce, steering the ship of success towards the shores of prosperity. A cunning navigator of the corporate realm, this silent hero wields the power of purchase, constructing the infrastructure upon which the organization stands, and securing the tools of triumph with unwavering precision.
Geez, Amy, turn down the fiction style in your settings and give me a straight-up answer. What does the internet think procurement is doing?
Sorry, I am still recovering from the World Domination Conference, having spent too much time with my cousin ChatGPT. So, here I go again. Procurement in a corporation is the process of obtaining goods and services needed for the organization's operations. It involves identifying suppliers, negotiating agreements, and managing the purchasing activities to ensure the right goods are obtained at the right time and cost. Essentially, it's like being the savvy shopper for the company, ensuring it gets what it needs while maximizing efficiency and cost effectiveness.
Thank you, Amy. But I think the definition is falling short of my understanding of procurement over the last, may I say, 4 decades. Procurement in simple terms is the intelligent interface between your company and the supply markets and the players in it, meaning the companies, regulators, and academia. So not just suppliers, and the colleagues in their own company. So much more than just a savvy shopper, or even simpler, they are the eyes, ears, and mouth of the company to communicate its demand for materials and services in an effective, efficient, and as well safe way. And one more thing, they are the only function that can help us to get to net zero emissions at warp speed, and I mean 2030 the latest. Forget governments and supranational institutions. They had so much time, and still we have in 40 countries with highest greenhouse gas emissions over 200 different standards. Not even in the automotive industry we have a common standard, so it's a shame, for crying out loud. But I will not talk about this in this episode yet, in detail. The solution will be revealed in a keynote address in Shanghai at the Procurement Success Summit on November 16th and 17th, and I promise the folks there to not steal my own thunder until then. So back to the basics. Procurement is an interdependent function. If done right, it creates and manages not an extended workbench, but an extended enterprise of every company. The whole supply base of a company has between 10 to 10,000 times more employees than your own company, depending on your size. Your supply chain has a massive amount of budget for research and development, ideas on ESG, so everything around sustainability, and other essential topics in our world. So you actually compete with all of their other customers, whether they're going to spend their R&D budget for you, whether they use their ideas for you, and whether you get their best people. So getting a big slice of this pie is a matter of how well your procurement can interface and become the customer of choice for your suppliers.
So, what are the key fundamentals that procurement needs to focus on?
Okay, let's break it down, Amy. We'll start from the end. First up, we have ESG, environmental, social, and governance topics. It's pretty straightforward. Think of your supply base as a multiplier of your company's revenue, production, and demand for raw materials and services. By aligning your supply base with UN global goals, and there are 17 of them, your influence expands beyond simply installing solar panels or reducing plastic use in your own buildings. It's not just the do-gooders here. Scientific studies show a correlation between sustainability and overall company performance. It's all about the triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit. And now let's talk about innovation. Here's the scoop, what I mentioned earlier. If you view your supply base as an extension of your own enterprise, you can tap into the latest innovations from your suppliers. Throughout my career, I've always been amazed of how closed-off and self-centered engineering and manufacturing can be when it comes to progress. Large organizations tend to build barriers and become inward-focused, thinking they just know best. This mindset is similar of how certain elite groups think in countries, or whether it is related to gender, race, or religion. Unfortunately, it is kind of a human tendency we all have. However, there are times and places where this us versus them mentality softens and progress happens at lightning speed. This shift is fueled by diversity, respect for others, and the willingness to open the floodgates of collaboration with great companies you work with, your suppliers. Successful procurement organizations enable and lead this journey within their company. And there are not that many, unfortunately. Lastly, let's touch on the evergreen topic of competition. Why do I emphasize competition over price or cost, which is normally what you combine when you talk about procurement? It's because procurement should understand the supply market, its players, and their capabilities. This knowledge allows you to harness existing competition or create new competition. As Peter Drucker once said rightly, competition is the most powerful force in the business universe. Just think about a couple of topics which will make that clear. JFK's famous moon landing speech. Would he have made that speech if the Russians had yet to successfully launch Sputnik first? Competition spurs us to lower prices, invest in development, and continually improve. It gives customers the power to vote with their feet and shape their opinion of us. Procurement plays a vital role as a catalyst for change, shaking up stagnant relationships and introducing competitive pressure into the equation. That's why I always told my teams, if you want to be loved by your colleagues, don't work in procurement. Our job is constantly challenging and demanding the best value and innovation from suppliers using our company's money, and that often means to change relationships that exist maybe over 1, 5, or 20 years.
I never realized the breadth of impact procurement can have. You do not find this if you just scroll through the internet. Procurement seems so dull if you read through the accounts, sorry to say. So, does every organization need a procurement function?
Not necessarily, but at the very least, they should have professionals equipped with procurement skills. Think of it like obtaining a driver's license. You can train people in HR, sales, manufacturing, finance, and any other departments on procurement skills, such as basic contractual knowledge, contract lengths, exclusivity, global terms and conditions, on negotiation techniques like, for example, as well stuff around game theory, supply-based discovery, transportation, logistics, and supplier assessment. So while you can technically do without a specific procurement function, not many companies are willing to invest in training all their employees in these essential skills. As a result, smaller companies often neglect setting up a dedicated procurement function, leading into inefficient procurement practices and lower profit margins by default. So when you start a company, your goal is to become profitable quickly. You have a fantastic service or product idea, but can't do everything alone. you need to involve other parties, including suppliers. And naturally, everyone wants the best from you, which is your money. There's nothing wrong with it. However, unless you have a truly innovative product with no competition, you need to keep your costs down to achieve a decent profit within your customer's price range. This is where professional procurement experts like me, as well as my esteemed colleagues, come in. We can significantly increase profit margins when the CEO and or CFO collaborate closely.
So, what allows you to strike a good deal with suppliers and manage your cost?
It boils down, as always, to three key factors: competition, leverage, and integrity. We already discussed the role of competition, so I'm not going to go there again, but it's a recurring theme in procurement overall. Next up is leverage. The higher your leverage is, the better offers you can secure from your supply base. However, it's important to note that leverage doesn't necessarily rely solely on the spend volume. While consolidating spend to create leverage can make sense, another school of thought suggests that local leverage within a specific supply market can be equally, if not more effective. The best way to determine which approach works for you is testing it out and impartially evaluating the results. Leveraging a supplier can mean as well completely different things, like, for example, gaining access to new markets or customer groups, being at the forefront of procurement of new products and more. Leveraging and understanding what the other party truly desires are skills specific to procurement professionals. Lastly, let's touch on integrity. It is essential to walk the talk. If you promise a certain volume, make sure you deliver a certain volume or be open to discuss alternative arrangements later. When you negotiate and reach an agreement, don't backtrack later on. If you lack the authority to make a final decision, be transparent with your suppliers and let them know that further approvals are necessary. While it may weaken your negotiation position, actually it's probably going to weaken it significantly, it's still better than compromising your integrity. Remember, if you lack integrity in negotiations, which means then that you're representing the company and therefore the company lacks integrity, it will pay a hefty price in the long run, not just in the current deal, but in all future dealings. Moreover, your reputation as a two-faced professional will spread throughout the supply chain network, causing significant harm for your career.
What are the main skills that procurement personnel needs?
That's a great question, Amy. There are several key skills that procurement professionals should possess. First, curiosity. This means being curious about markets, people both inside and outside the company, and products both within and outside your industry. Having a curious mindset allows you to bring the best and the most innovative solutions to your company. Second is commercial savviness. It's essential to have a strong understanding of how markets operate, as well as how financial statements, taxes, currency, interest rates, contracts, regulations, and regulators can impact your procurement decisions. This knowledge makes you a valuable asset to your company, providing insights and strategies that align with financial goals. Third, it's the willingness to serve. Procurement professionals act as a bridge between internal customers and suppliers. Being committed to serving both parties and understanding their needs is crucial for building strong and mutually beneficial relationships.
What sets a procurement professional apart?
Well, it ties in with the skills mentioned before. As a new buyer, it's crucial to actively learn about the market, category, and players involved. This goes beyond reading brochures and books. You need to visit production facilities, interact with the people behind the scenes, and genuinely listen to their feedback. Additionally, analyzing contracts, supplier performance, and the procurement context within your company helps identify any gaps that need to be addressed. Closing those gaps, whether discovered by you or perceived by the internal customer, sets you apart. The next step is becoming the go-to expert on the category and market within your company. By understanding these areas better, you can suggest innovative solutions, cost-saving measures, quality improvements, and initiatives related to environmental, social, and governance factors. This adds significant value to your organization and propels you into a leadership role within procurement or wherever else you want to go.
Does procurement need to be situated at the board level?
The answer to this question varies depending on the company and its specific circumstances. Take Apple, for example. Their success is partly attributed to the strong focus on innovation and, you guessed it, supply chain management, which was established by now CEO Tim Cook when he held at that point in time the positions of operations and procurement head. In cases where the material and service expenses account for over 70% of the cost of sales, having procurement at the decision-making table can bring immense value through supplier partnerships and integration, and sometimes gets you as well the CEO job. However, it is important to consider what is core to your company and what sets you apart in the market. Suppose manufacturing is not a significant differentiation factor and factors like speed, innovation, ESG performance, cost, and quality hold greater importance. In that case, having procurement housed under finance or operations may be more beneficial. In many instances, other functions view procurement as an appendix to their responsibilities. So, for example, supply chain may focus on speed and minimal disruptions, while R&D may prioritize strong supplier relationships with limited competition. In my personal opinion, I would always advocate for procurement to have a seat at the board level in my company, for example. This ensures that talented professionals have the opportunity to contribute their expertise and drive strategic decision-making, building on all the knowledge and content and innovation that you get from the extended enterprise, meaning your suppliers.
You raised a great point about the triple bottom line, focusing on the dimensions of people, profit, and planet. Can you dive deeper?
Sure. Let's start as we always should do, and this is with people. Internally, procurement can play a significant role in fostering cross-functional career paths. Employees can gain a holistic understanding of the business by encouraging rotations between manufacturing, sales, finance, and procurement departments, leading to more effective collaborations and decision-making overall. It's much easier to work with others if you have walked in their shoes for some time. Externally, procurement professionals can be the sales agents of their own company's products and services, recognizing that every supplier has the potential to be a customer. Additionally, procurement can influence ESG-related issues within the supply base, such as diversity and social responsibility, by aligning practices and supplier selection criteria with the United Nations 17 global goals. If you don't know what that is, Google it, check it out. It's really cool stuff. So let's talk about profit. We already discussed how well-run procurement operations can contribute significantly to profitability by providing products and services at lower cost, minimizing disruptions, and fostering higher levels of innovation that you can utilize for your products to your own customers. Procurement can ensure continuous improvement and drive business success by benchmarking performance and monitoring the typical key indicators like headcount per million euros spent and actual cost over millions of euros spent. Yeah? You should always have a tight procurement organization. Next is planet. An essential aspect of sustainability is addressing the environmental impact of supply chains. As we all know, in most companies, the supply chain holds about 60 to 85% of the greenhouse gas emissions in Scope 3. So, procurement significantly reduces greenhouse gas emissions by working with suppliers committed to environmental sustainability and get rid of the rest. While initiatives like installing solar panels on office buildings and implementing recycling programs are important, don't get me wrong, sourcing from suppliers that align with net zero ambitions is even more impactful. By considering suppliers' environmental footprint, procurement can make substantial progress in addressing the planetary aspect of the triple bottom line.
Where do you see procurement in the next 10 to 30 years?
Well, looking ahead, the future of procurement holds both exciting opportunities and potential transformations. With advancement in artificial intelligence and software solutions, many supply chain processes can be automated. Machine learning algorithms and smart machines can handle tasks like identifying new suppliers, assessing supplier performance, and managing data-driven processes. However, the interpersonal aspect of commercial relationships with suppliers and internal customers will remain crucial and require the expertise and strategic thinking of human procurement professionals. We may witness disruptive changes that revolutionize how we approach procurement and supply chain management, potentially driven by innovations from unrelated fields or through partnerships with AI-focused service providers. Similar transformations can be expected in other functions such as finance, legal, marketing, sales, supply chain management, planning, and even M&A. Ultimately, the core functions that directly interact with the physical world, including manufacturing, R&D, general services, and supply chains, will remain essential. Meanwhile, a new knowledge worker class might emerge. Those that have knowledge to build, measure, create, and serve their fellow humans, nurses, kindergarten teachers, cleaning professionals, artists, and more. So exciting, but as well very challenging times lie ahead of humankind and, as such, as well the procurement function and the broader business world. But between you and me, wasn't the last 10,000 years different for humans? Nope.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Before we go, we do something new. We introduce a short section about saying thanks to people who made a difference in our lives. We start with Daniel's life and move on from there.
Thank you, Amy. Well, you know the setting where you meet people in conference or whatever, one after the other, and the subtext unspoken always is, hello, I'm important. Are you as well important? I always hated these events, since I knew I would not have been there if it was not for my team and the people that at some point in time in my career took an interest in me. So in this section, we will talk about those people. And although you will not know them, I hope you have similar people that helped you and as well see the opportunity to become one of these mentors, colleagues, friends in your own life. So today, I talk about Helmut Göbel, who was indirect head of procurement of Ford Motor Company in Germany. I was 23 years old and made myself a name as being a pain in the back for the materials department I worked in. Most of the people were twice my age, and I came in there with my degree in my pocket and talked about improving speed and efficiency with changing their input documents that they handed over to a typing office who entered these documents into a mainframe. Yes, mainframe. And yes, I am a boomer, ascendant Gen X. Now Helmut was the big boss then, the hippo, the highest paid person with an opinion in our area. He was very old in my view, probably actually mid-40s, and took an interest in me. He wanted to understand this pesky little blonde 23-year-old and invited me to his office. I sat down, saw him lighting a cigar, yes, these times were different, and asked me why I annoy all of my colleagues. He was very friendly, and after a while I started to talk about all the great things we could do in this department, and I didn't understand why not everyone else directly jumped on my suggestions. He gave me a basic lecture about the art of influence and management, asked a few more questions, and before the cigar was done, I was out of the door. Interesting, however, not long after, I was put in charge of reducing our inventories in one of our stores by 50%. I did tell him that this was possible probably shortly before he put out his cigar. I actually got my first office with office furniture that was much older than me, but at least I could put a Keith Haring poster on the wall, which made my office a pallets. And yes, the 24-year-old reduced the inventory actually by 60%, developed with a few colleagues a new stock control system for the section, and with 28 was in charge of the store, the material planning department, and the procurement department. And Helmut Goebel was at that point in time still there, probably around 50s, and something like my second father. Boy, he was tough, but very supportive if you did in the work and had the results. So thank you, Helmut. Wherever you are now in the ether, you helped me to become the person I am today.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Supply Chain Dialogues. If you have suggestions for other topics you would like to have covered or have a constructive comment about this episode, record a voice message on your phone or send an email to dialogues@helmigadvisory.com, one word.
If you think of any of your colleagues or friends that might enjoy the Supply Chain Dialogues as well, share this episode, please, with them via the share button on your device. If they might not know how to subscribe to podcasts, lend them a hand. With that, as always, be safe, be bold, and see you next time.